Welcome back, basketball fans and aficionados, to what might just be the most seismic, narrative-shifting breakdown of the PBA Season 50 Commissioner's Cup so far. We are standing at the epicenter of a basketball earthquake, a moment where international hype collided violently with the established, hard-nosed reality of Philippine basketball. Tonight, we are unpacking a headline that has sent shockwaves through the Araneta Coliseum, rippled across social media, and fundamentally altered the landscape of this current conference. BOL BOL just played, he just took over, and he absolutely dismantled the San Miguel Beermen. But this is not just a story about a basketball game. This is a story about a true basketball unicorn, a 7'3" phenomenon with the ball handling skills of a guard and the shooting touch of a seasoned marksman, stepping onto the historic hardwood of the PBA and making an immediate, terrifying statement. It is a story of the TNT Tropang Gigas seeking absolute dominance, enacting a flawless offensive masterclass throughout the Beermen, with a staggering final score of 118-92. And perhaps most intriguingly, it is a story of pride, of veteran grit, and of the undeniable culture of Philippine hoops, perfectly encapsulated in a fiery, mid-game trash-talking exchange between BOL BOL and the heart and soul of the San Miguel defense, Chris Ross. To truly understand the magnitude of what transpired on Saturday night, we have to contextualize the sheer gravity of this matchup. The TNT Tropang Giga and the San Miguel Beermen are not just two teams passing the night. They are foundational pillars of modern PBA greatness. We are talking about a rematch of the Philippine Cup Finals, a bitter rivalry soaked in history, championship banners, and bad blood. When TNT announced the signing of BOL BOL, a man who has spent 6 seasons in the NBA bringing crowds to their feet with the Denver Nuggets, the Orlando Magic, and the Phoenix Suns, the expectations were astronomical. The Philippine basketball community asked a collective question: how would the local giants, specifically the 9-time most valuable player June Fajardo, handle a player of this unprecedented physical profile? The answer was delivered with absolute, ruthless efficiency. TNT did not just beat San Miguel, they ran them out of the building. By the end of the first quarter, TNT had exploded for 35 points, while holding San Miguel to a mere 16. They shot a blistering 65% from the field in those opening 12 minutes, sinking 5 of 9 from beyond the arc. And at the center of this hurricane was BOL BOL, pouring in 16 points in the first half alone, raining down 3-pointers and pulling down rebounds with an effortlessness that bordered on the surreal. He finished the night with jaw-dropping 34 points, 18 rebounds, and a block shot that set the tone for the entire evening. Yet, amid this 26-point blowout, the moment that truly set the internet ablaze had nothing to do with a slam dunk or a deep three. It happened in the third quarter, a moment of pure, unadulterated competitive friction. Chris Ross, the veteran defensive anchor of the Beermen, who was sidelined in street clothes due to injury, found himself locked in a verbal sparring match with the 7'3" import. It was a fascinating clash of worlds. The NBA giant asserting his dominance on the scoreboard, and the PBA veteran refusing to back down, refusing to concede the psychological high ground regardless of what the numbers on the scoreboard dictated. Ross, in his own words, told BOL BOL good defense. BOL BOL, leaning into the reality of the blowout, fired back, reminding Ross that TNT was up by 20. Ross's response? A simple, defiant, "I don't care." It is a microscopic interaction that tells a macroscopic story about the pride of San Miguel and the immediate swagger BOL BOL has brought to TNT. Both men later shrugged it off as just part of the game, a little fun in the heat of battle, but make no mistake, that exchange is the beating heart of this rivalry. Tonight, we're going to dive deep into the analytics, the matchups, the coaching strategies, and emotional undercurrents of this game. We will dissect the highly anticipated collision between BOL BOL and June Fajardo. We will look at how Calvin Oftana and the TNT supporting cast capitalized on the gravity BOL created. And we will examine the stark reality facing a battered, undermanned San Miguel squad trying to navigate the opening weeks of Commissioner's Cup. Settle in, because this is the ultimate breakdown of TNT's statement victory. Let us transition into the core of tonight's analysis by examining the absolute masterclass that TNT orchestrated right from the opening tip. When you look at the architecture of a blowout, you rarely see a game decided in the first 12 minutes, but that is precisely what the Tropang Gig accomplished. Coach Chat Reyes clearly recognized that San Miguel was walking onto the floor severely handicapped. They were without Chris Ross. They were without the explosive scoring of Jericho Cruz. They were missing Jaron Tung. TNT, conversely, was fielding a nearly whole deck, integrating the returning firepower Jason Castro and Roger Pogoi alongside their new focal point. The strategy was immediate and suffocating. Push the pace, space the floor, and let BOL BOL operate in the vast expanses of the Araneda Coliseum hardwood. When a player stands 7'3" and can handle the ball in transition, the geometry of the basketball court fundamentally changes. San Miguel's defense, historically built around funneling drivers into the waiting, massive arms of Jumar Fajardo, was suddenly stretched to its absolute breaking point. BOL BOL's ability to pull up from beyond the three-point line essentially dragged Fajardo out of his comfort zone, opening up driving lanes that TNT's wings exploited with ruthless precision. Let's talk about that highly anticipated individual matchup. BOL BOL versus the Kraken, Jumar Fajardo. For years, Fajardo has been the undisputed king of the paint in the PBA, a 9-time MVP who commands double teams and dictates the tempo of half-court offense. But facing BOL BOL is an entirely different puzzle. While Fajardo still managed to put up a phenomenal, superhuman effort on the glass, grabbing 20 rebounds to go along with his 15 points, he struggled from the field against the sheer length of the TNT import. Every hook shot was contested just a little bit higher. Every post move required just a little bit more arc. BOL BOL did not just rely on his height. He relied on his mobility, closing out on shooters and altering the trajectory of San Miguel's entire offensive scheme. And because BOL BOL demanded so much defensive attention from the Beermen, the rest of the Tropang Giga feasted. Calvin Oftana, one of the premier lethal shooters in the country, found himself with oceans of space, effortlessly gliding to 18 points on 5 of 9 shooting. Brandon Ganuela's roster provided the necessary grit and hustle, chipping in 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 critical steals that disrupted San Miguel's passing lanes. Even Justin Chua, coming off the bench as a free agent acquisition, found his rhythm to add 11 markers. This was not a one-man show. This was a symphony of offensive basketball, conducted by a towering maestro. On the other side of the floor, San Miguel found themselves entirely reliant on their own import, Marcus Lee. To Lee's immense credit, he played his heart out against an overwhelming Tide. He delivered his best scoring output in a San Miguel jersey so far, pouring in 30 points on incredibly efficient 12 of 16 shooting, while securing 14 rebounds. He battled in the trenches, but basketball is a numbers game, and one man cannot overcome a 20-point deficit alone. C.J. Perez, normally a dynamic engine of scoring for the Beermen, was stifled by the length of TNT's perimeter defenders, managing only 12 points on a frigid 4 of 16 shooting night. Don Trolano mirrored that output with 12 points of his own, but the collective firepower of San Miguel was thoroughly dampened. This brings us back to the psychological warfare, the moment on the sidelines with Chris Ross. When you are down by 20 points in the third quarter of a highly anticipated rivalry game, the human instinct is to fold. The energy drains from the legs, the defensive rotations become a step slow, and the body language turns negative. Chris Ross, even in street clothes, recognized that his team was bleeding out. His decision to chirp at BOL BOL, to engage in that back and forth, was a calculated veteran move. It was an attempt to inject some much-needed friction, some fire, into a game that was rapidly slipping away. When Ross told BOL BOL, good defense, it was a dare. It was a message that San Miguel, regardless of the score, was not going to be intimidated by an NBA resume. Bol's response, we're down 20, was a cold, hard reality of the scoreboard. But Ross's final retort, I don't care, speaks volumes about the championship pedigree of the Beermen. They may lose the battle. They may even get blown out, but they refuse to lose their identity. Coach Chat Reyes was incredibly pragmatic in his post-game assessment. He did not let the 26-point margin inflate his team's ego. He correctly pointed out that the tables had turned regarding player availability. San Miguel was decimated by injuries, while TNT was relatively whole, missing only Poi Aram and Kelly Williams. Reyes noted that his team is still in a period of adjustment, learning how to maximize a generational talent, like BOL BOL, within the framework of Philippine basketball. If this is what TNT looks like, While they are still figuring things out, the rest of the league should be terrified. They had now improved to a 2-1 record, erasing the memory of their shock opening loss to rain or shine, and firmly asserting themselves as a team to beat in this Commissioner's Cup. As we draw this monumental analysis to a close, we have to look at the broader implications of this game for the rest of the PBA Season 50 Commissioner's Cup. The TNT Tropang Giga have officially put the league on notice. BOL BOL is not just here for a vacation. He is not just a sideshow attraction. He is fully engaged, he is adapting to the physicality of the league, and he is terrifyingly effective. When he faced the media for the first time in the Philippines, his message was clear and ominous. He is not worried about individual statistics. He is only focused on stacking wins. That is a mentality of a champion, merging seamlessly with a TNT franchise that knows exactly what it takes to climb to the mountaintop. They now have the luxury of resting and fine-tuning their systems before they face the Meralco Bolts on April 7th. For San Miguel Beermen, this game is a bitter pill to swallow, but it is not a death sentence. Falling to a 1-2 record is uncharacteristic for this powerhouse, but the context of their injuries is crucial. You cannot replace the defensive brain of Chris Ross or the offensive spark of Jericho Cruz. Overnight, they were simply outgunned by a healthier, hotter team. However, the rumor mill is already turning, with whispers that Marcus Lee, despite his brilliant 30-point performance, might soon be replaced by Justin Patton in an effort to find a different structural fit against the giants of the league. San Miguel has an incredibly short memory and an unparalleled championship pedigree. They will have an immediate opportunity to bounce back against the Macau Black Knights at the Ninoy Aquino Stadium, and you can absolutely guarantee that Coach Leo Austria will have him fired up and ready to prove that this blowout was an anomaly, not a trend. Ultimately, Saturday night at the Araneda Coliseum gave us exactly what we want as basketball fans. High drama, incredible athletic feats, and a heavy dose of passion. We saw the undeniable dominance of BOL BOL, the quiet, persistent greatness of June Fajardo, and the fiery, unbreakable spirit of Chris Ross, reminding us all that in the PBA, respect is earned on the floor, no matter what it says on the back of your jersey. The Commissioner's Cup is only just beginning, but the bar has officially been set. TNT is a juggernaut, BOL BOL is a difference maker, and the rest of the league is officially on the clock to find an answer. Thank you so much for joining me on this extensive deep dive into the world of Philippine basketball. If you enjoyed this level of detailed analysis and want to stay completely up to date with every major shift, trade, and blowout in the PBA, make sure to like, subscribe, and keep your notifications turned on.